So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at a journaling method that helps incorporate morning pages and an evening check-in into 4 sides of an A5 notebook. I'm going to show you how this very simple layout works, the things you're going to put down, and give you some insight into what I've got from this method that I have actually returned to very recently. Now, I have covered this before in a previous video, but so I wanted to go over it again because I think having returned to it after a break, I've really recognized the benefits of it. So what you're going to do very simply is start by writing the date. So this is an old Lug Term 1917 A5 hardcover notebook. I do quite like the light grey. Now I used it a little bit for various bits and pieces. For whatever reason, I moved away from it. I am going to go back to it because I'm coming to the end of my Ryman A5 art book, which you may have seen in a recent video. I'll leave a card at the top and a link in the description. But what we're going to do is we're going to lay this out and we're going to show you what goes where and what you're going to do, and give you some insights into what I've got out of it. So the first thing is, and it's very simple, is you're going to write the date at the top of the page. Now I'm recording this on the 25th of February 2025. 25225. That's like a 1 2 1 2 testing 1 2. Now you can do it just on the first page if you want, or you can do it on every page. It's entirely up to you. But that's all you do is you're just going to write the date on 3 sides. Well, actually 4 sides in a minute. So the 4th side here. And the only difference on this 4th side is what I do is I write check-in. And I underline that. And why this is important is that we're kind of laying out our intention to do this. We're committing to do it. You're kind of not necessarily committed to do it. Sometimes if I get to the end of the day and I'm really too tired or whatever, then I might not do the check-in, or if I'm late getting up. Oh, I've got a bit of a smudge there from the pen. That's the trouble with the Uniball Air pen and the Lug Term paper, I find, which I don't get with the art book, is that it smudges a little bit. But what you're doing here is you're setting out your intention. You're saying in advance that this is what you're going to do. You can write a whole week's worth of pages out in advance if you want. I don't necessarily recommend you do that, but it kind of does work because you've committed to doing it. So why would we do these 2 different kinds of writing? Surely you could just do a journaling entry at the end of the day, check-in or whatever. You could, but these 2 things are very different. So morning pages, and this is a question I get asked sometimes in the YouTube comments, is this stream of consciousness writing, is it whatever? It is, but the key thing about morning pages is that you do them as soon as possible after sleep. So you tap into your unconscious mind, the thoughts, the things that are going on without you realizing it. The difference with the evening check-in is this is considered. This is after a day of living, whether you've been to work or whatever, and you're going to process these things. I'm going to tell you when we get to that page, that's that sheet of paper, what goes on that page, and hopefully when I give you some examples of my own evening check-ins, you'll see the difference. So we've written the date there, and obviously these first 3 sides, these are for your morning pages, and you're just going to do a stream of consciousness brain dump onto these 3 sheets of paper, these 3 sides of paper. Some people do say they find it difficult, find the 3rd side difficult. They're kind of okay on sides 1 and 2, find it difficult on the 3rd side. And what I say to that is, if you're struggling on the 3rd side, just go with self-affirmation. You set out who you are, what you're doing, where you want to go, where you want to be, the kind of person you want to be. Like I tend to say, I'm calm and confident, perhaps, something like that. And the more you tell yourself that, the more it actually becomes manifest. And I really believe this is part of how we can program ourselves this way. I don't know how it works, but I really genuinely believe it works. If you wanted to, I guess you could split this fourth page in two. You draw a line across there. I do this sometimes. So what you could do here is this could be for your evening check-in. It does limit it. I find I generally fill a side of A5 for my evening check-in. It's quite spaced out. I'll do about that much, and then I'll do another 3 points there, a little bit at the bottom, but we'll come to that in a few minutes. But what you can also do is, if you do this, especially if you do this in advance, you can do your morning pages on these three sides, and if anything crops up in those morning pages that it feels important, that is something you want to act upon, an action point, as they might say, you can write it here. Just a little bullet point to remind yourself that this is something to be done, or something to reflect upon. It differentiates, separates it from the morning pages. It's okay to take stuff away from morning pages. Julia Cameron will say don't look back on them, but they can give you really valuable stuff. And to me, it seems I'll put the two little lines in the margin and maybe separate them as a note out. And sometimes they seem more important at the moment of writing than they do on reflection later. But it's important to separate them just in case, because you never know. So we've dated our three sides. We've committed to doing our check-in. You don't necessarily have to separate this out, but you can do if you want. And I also got to say, I do like a hardback book for this, because if it keeps it all in one place, and a hardback book can be written in while you're in bed. Something to lean on. I like to do my morning pages downstairs in the morning when I've had a coffee, and while I'm having a coffee, I should say. Sadly, I don't have to feed the dog anymore because we lost him last week. So yeah, I'll do my morning pages downstairs in the morning. I'll do my evening check-in in bed before I go to sleep. So I take this up to bed, I keep it by the bed overnight, and then take it downstairs in the morning, take it back upstairs when I'm going to bed in the evening. Keeps it all in one place. So that writing in bed, it's a few minutes of quiet reflection. It really is different from morning pages. For me, morning pages are very fast, getting it all out. The evening check-in is slower, considered, and I think about the day. So basically what you're doing with the evening check-in after you've done your morning pages is reviewing the day, reflecting on the day. But I think it's also important to really try and find the positive. So what we do is we review the day here. We review what's gone on. So we could say it was a good day. This happened, that happened. I felt like this, things you achieved, and you just see what comes to mind. Just write it down, just consider it. And when you've written as much as you feel, don't force it. What you do then is you write 3 points of gratitude. So you might say, grateful for, I do apologise for my writing. This is why I don't bother with fountain pens, because they're not very good. Grateful for easy traffic today. So, for example, when I go to the office, I go on the motorway, and if the traffic's bad, it kind of really can be very bad. So always grateful for easy traffic. And then you might say grateful for, let's say, a visit from Mr. Robin. So when I'm working at home, I look out into the garden sometimes, and there's a robin pops around, and I'll see him. I like to see Mr. Robin. There's also a cat called Nando. Now I've got some treats. I'm not really a cat person, but Nando is a really nice cat. Comes along. He was in our utility uninvited not so long ago, but he sometimes comes stalking through the garden. I don't know whether he's chasing after Mr. Robin, but yeah, I do like to see him. And he's only young. I've made friends with him. I've got some treats, but I haven't seen him to say hello to since I bought the treats. But I might say, grateful for easy traffic today. Grateful for a visit from Mr. Robin. Grateful for a visit from Nando. And it's important, I think, really important, that the things of gratitude that we write vary from day to day. We don't write the same thing every day. Grateful for, health, family, whatever. By all means, visit those things, revisit them occasionally, but what we're looking for is the little things in every day that are different. And the reason that all this is important is because this is the last thing we're going to do, the last thoughts we really process before we go to sleep. And our mind will work on those overnight. So that's why I think it's really important when we're doing this check-in page to really focus on the positive. So what we've done our review for the day. We've written our thoughts there. We've done our 3 points of gratitude, which are going to vary day by day. And then what we do is today's takeaway. And I find this is the most interesting one for me. I give it a few seconds thought. Sometimes it comes to me like that, but I generally give it a few seconds thought, and it might be something like I have a lot to be grateful for. And I'll have a look at some of mine in a minute, share those with you. But that's really it. That's really your layout. So you've got your three... Oh, Norbert's having trouble with his nose today. The crew are watching very intently. I'm just going to pop his nose back on there. How does my notebook smell? Awful. He's got no nose. So there we've got our 3 sides of morning pages and our 4th evening check-in. And I think it's important, although this is very different from the morning pages writing that we do, it's important to give ourselves permission to write whatever we want here. Write as if no one's going to see it. You know that thing like no one's listening, which frees you from the constraints of self-awareness and, feeling stupid about what you're doing. It's the same with this. You write as though no one's going to read it, and in all likelihood, no one will. And if they do, who cares? What this means is it's all in one place. I've gone back to the A5 format, having used B5 for morning pages for a long time. What I was doing, I was using a B5 book and my traveller's notebook, which is quite small and slim. And I would leave the traveller's notebook upstairs. I'd leave the B5 notebook downstairs. It kind of doesn't really make any difference, really, if it's separate. But there's something about keeping it all in one place that works for me. Let's do a quick riffle test on this notebook. Ooh, not bad. So what I'll do now, I'll share with you some of the things that I've got from my own morning pages and evening check-ins. So just a reminder at this point about the channel memberships. What you're going to get there at the Page Pioneers level is longer videos like this with no ads, some insights, some behind the scenes stuff. They're a bit more intimate and personal, I suppose, but there's no ads because I don't think you should, take out a membership and then still have to watch ads. And if you want videos with no ads, remember there's always YouTube Premium, which is a bargain. Every video you could want on YouTube with no ads. So this is my Ryman art book, which I've been using now for morning pages and my evening check-in for a little while. And let's see, when did I start using it again? Towards the end of January. The first one is the 27th of the 1st this year. And so what I've done, so this is the takeaway. So I've said this is a good day, had some good interactions at work. Kind of said to myself that I'd like to progress further. I'm quite impatient in that respect. It's been a massive change for me over the last, not 18 months quite, but I went from being freelance to being an employee and all that stuff. I've made a note that I'm really pleased with how Norbert has turned out, and at that stage I didn't have the crew. But I like Norbert. I'm quite pleased with him. I think this might be their role to observe me and just make a comment now and then. We'll see. And so what are my 3 points of gratitude on this day? I've put that I'm grateful for a satisfying day, grateful for feeling ready for tomorrow, and then I've put I'm grateful for healthy, happy kids. So there we go. And today's takeaway, I can do things quickly. Back to A5. What's this one? 5 plus 1 a video. And this is 3 plus 1 a video. So the reason I've put 5 plus 1 is that I'd just gone back to this A5 format notebook from the B5 size. Let me just find a B5 notebook for you. So this is a B5 Moleskine Cahier, which I used for a good while for morning pages. As you can see there, that goes from the 12th of April 2023. Wow. And all the way up to 16th of the 6th. That's not easy to say. All the way up to the 16th of, what's the 6th? January, February, March, June. But that's B5, that's A5. So there's quite a difference in size. So when I went from B5 to A5, I thought, well, I quite like the extra room in the B5 format. I could process more. And I initially thought when I went back to B5 that I would try and write the same amount in the A5 notebook as I was writing in the B5 notebook. Having used A5 for a while now, I don't think I need to do that. Like I said before in the previous video, 5 sides, approximately 5 sides of A5 is equivalent to 3 sides of B5 because of the size difference. So now what I'm doing is 3 sides of A5 for my morning pages and 1 side for my evening check-in. Hence it was 5 plus 1, now it's 3 plus 1. So let's take a look at another page. I'll pick one at random. Let's take a look here. Can't show you what that says. But these are my morning pages. Marks in the margin where things I want to pick out later. I hadn't sort of got to the point where I was writing them down separately yet at this stage. But here's my check-in here. So another good day. Did some of my own YouTube stuff, tweaking thumbnails, that kind of thing. I've reminded myself that it's important to just keep going. Dear, oh dear. I think we're going to have to do something. We have to do something about Norbert's nose. And I've said to myself that I'm doing really well. I've kind of laid out some aims for YouTube. Not sure they're really achievable, but you know, who knows? There was a time I had 85 subscribers. Now I've got, as I make this video, I've got over 11,000. I wasn't sure I was ever going to get to 1,000. But there you go. So there's a good example of how laying out what you want, can it make it happen? I don't know, but it kind of solidifies it in your own mind, I think. So my 3 gratitudes are here. What does this say? Grateful for a fun session with Lloyd. So this must have been a Wednesday night, the 5th of February 25, because on a Wednesday night, our friend Lloyd comes round. He's got a bass, I've got a guitar, my wife's got a voice, and we make a bit of noise. And very often after a Wednesday at work, we can be like, oh, do I really want to do this? But Lloyd comes round and we have a bit of a laugh and it's good fun. And that's important. So the next one is grateful for, what does that say? WFH, working from home, because that gives me a lot more time. I work from home for 25 years on my own, and it has its pluses and minuses. What I do now pretty much is go into the office 1 day a week, and that's a nice balance. When I'm working at home, I get a lot done, but communication and social interaction in the office is really important, and it's so much easier to communicate when I'm there in person with my closest colleague, Jill. Hello, Jill, if you're watching. She's probably not watching. I'm grateful for a fun session with Lloyd, grateful for my new thumbnails, grateful for working from home. And then I've put, I think that says, it doesn't all have to be true. I'm not sure whether that does say true, but I don't really know what that means. My takeaway for that day, the 5th of February 2025, was the morning pages videos are important. Package them well. Let's take a look at one more random day. So this is a check-in from the 9th of February 2025. I enjoyed my walk and video in this morning is what I've started with. I enjoyed my walk and video in this morning. So I know this was a Sunday because I remembered when I did this. I've made a note to myself that my humour is important in videos. So the successful channels that have a face, they've got to have personality. And I think I've got I think my sense of humour is one of my attributes. Feel free to disagree. So I've put, enjoyed my walk this morning. My humour is important in vids. Put a few bits and pieces about the stuff, something I've done in my van, problem I'm trying to solve with something cheap. And I've wondered about recording myself working and occasionally talking to the camera. So this is what I watch. There's a channel I watch sometimes, Trucker Tim, and he will sometimes talk to the camera. And this is something comedians do, or you used to do. If you're in the UK, you might remember Eric Morecambe, and who else did it? Larry Grayson and Bruce Forsyth. Great comedians, came up through the music halls, did epic Saturday night television shows, but they had what was called a spot camera, and they knew where exactly where that camera was, and every now and then they'd look at it, and they break the fourth wall between them on the stage and the audience. And when they do it well, and they always did it well, those guys, it really added a connection. Check them out. If I'm not going to find some clips because there might be copyright issues, but if you can find some clips on YouTube of those people, or just look up spot cameras, you'll see how it works. So then I've reminded myself again, just keep going. My three gratitude points are: grateful for feeling motivated, grateful for 2 good kids, grateful for fresh ideas. So again, another reference to the kids, grateful for healthy, happy kids, grateful for 2 good kids. Like I say, it's okay to revisit the same things on different days, but vary things a bit if you can. And today's takeaway: stop when you've had enough. I'm not sure what that refers to on that particular day, but I know that's something I've got from gardening. There'd be times when I'd go out. I like gardening. I took it up probably when I was in my mid-40s, just started one day. So, you can go out in the garden. There's always something to do. And if it's a nice day, you can go out there all day, but then it can get to be a bit of a chore. So I didn't want it to become a chore. If it becomes a chore, it becomes something I don't want to do rather than something that I do want to do. So one of my rules for life is stop when you've had enough. It's not possible in every aspect of life, but stopping when you've had enough keeps things fresh and stops what might be a pleasurable task becoming something you actually don't look forward to doing. And that's me with the garden. Stop when you've had enough. So that's 3+1. That's 3 sides of morning pages, 1 side of evening check-in. Give it a go and let me know how you get on in the comments.